Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. This is the second video we're going to be going over Miro navigation. We're actually going to hop into a board today to go over high-level navigation, some of the settings that you'll use to navigate in between the home screen view and the board, export settings, and then also profile sharing within the actual board. So let me hop into this guy. I'll go to, I'll go to resources. Hmm. Oh, this guy, sorry, hold on. All right, so another good use of filtering, if you didn't watch the other video already, you can filter just by looking at certain things. So if I do this, things will not show up. So if you don't see anything, don't be alarmed. Just remember to check any filters that you have. Okay, cool. So I'm actually going to use this design review template as a just an example board. We can go through the hands-on learning in another video where I'll walk through that step by step. But today we're going to be looking at, and these are meant to be relatively short videos that are meant to be really digestible, so we're only going to be sticking with the top left-hand side navigation bar, and then also the top right-hand side that has a couple awesome features. So jumping right in, this button right here represents go to boards. If you ever need to navigate back to all of your other boards, you just have to simply press this button. Cool, simple enough. And the button next to it is the board settings. So what this is when you click on this, it brings you to this pop-out screen. It has a couple different features. One, if you wanted to modify the title, you can do that here. So I can go in here, change that. I'll just write that back. Giving a quick description, I wrote this one. This is a template for running a design review in Miro. It shows you the owner, when it was created, last modified, and where it exists within our location. You can also set a preview location. So if you are like me and you really like looking at little icons to know what board you're working on, you can set a designated area that will show up for that icon. So I'll resize this guy. Boom, done. And then just press done, and then that will be saved. So really helpful when you're first starting a board, just to make sure that you are setting this information up. You can also delete your board if you want. You can duplicate it, and then you can also share it from this view. Okay, what's this little button right here? Export this board. So if I wanted to share this board or the contents of this board, what you can do is you have a couple of different options. You can save it as an image, which again, similar to the preview area, you can adjust and say, oh, I need to take a little screenshot. Let's, do this guy. And I have the option of doing a small, medium, large, or vector format. So if there is something you need to bring into InDesign or something like that, you can always export as a vector PDF format and then just press export, and that will be downloaded to your local computer. Okay, cool. Next option is save as PDF, and then this will use the frames that you've established on your board. So I'll cover frames in a later video, but just know that when you are setting up frames to export as a PDF, you have the option to do a small file size, which might reduce quality, or you can choose best quality if you're doing something that could be client facing, for example, that renders everything to highest possible quality, but doesn't reduce the file size at all. So this will be much larger than this one up here. You can save this board as a template. So for this one in particular, because I'm setting up this as a design review template, once I'm done, I'll be able to save this as a template, which will then show up in the options here under your templates. And again, I'll be covering this in a later video, but I just want to make sure I'm covering it right now. Also, and remember when I mentioned in the previous video about how you can back up a board, this is how you download a backup file. So what we would want to do is we would press this, it would download again to your local machine, and you would want to move this file somewhere secure, whether that's a project file on the network or SharePoint. Just make sure that it's not stored somewhere where you could lose it easily. We could also export to spreadsheet. I don't anticipate too many people using this one, but for example, if you had a bunch of sticky notes that you were using for a brainstorm, you'd be able to organize them and then export them as a CSV. You can embed Miro boards, which is actually pretty awesome. And I'll actually run through this one really quick because I actually do think it's a very powerful feature. So you'll get this pop-up window and you'll say, okay, set the start area. Again, you'll be familiar with this kind of setting up this area, or at least the area you want to see within the embedded frame, and then I'll press done. Okay, and then you can modify the size, so how big this actually displays on your screen. And what you want to do is you want to copy this code right here. And whenever you see an embed code, I'll actually go to ClickUp. And the way you do this is ClickUp has this nice feature. It's an embed feature. So let's say I wanted to create some form of standard, or I was building something on our standards process and workflow page. I'll just use this intro page as an example, but there's this feature called embed, and the shortcut is EM, and then enter. And then all you do is you just copy and paste that code and then press save. And so what that's going to do is it gives you a navigable window into your Miro board. So I can actually zoom in here, move this around, and have the same functionality as I would within Miro. And that's the power of using an embed function, is that it gives you this ability to modify things kind of remotely, or at least not through the native platform. So very powerful. I wanted to show you that because it is a very powerful tool when you're trying to communicate an idea. So I always try and vary the different forms of communication that I use, especially when training, and this is one of those examples. So that's great. Let me just delete this guy. Just delete it here. Cool. All right. So back to our Miro board. I don't anticipate having to use Jira. It's a software ticket management solution. And then also, if we ever got a Jamboard or Microsoft Surface, we'd be able to mirror our board onto that interactive display, which is our last option. Okay, so on to the left-hand side of the screen over here. This option allows you to hide collaborators' cursors. So if you are collaborating with a lot of people, you'll notice a lot of different arrows floating around. If you want to hide those, you'd be able to click this option. And then if it's blue, it means it's activated. If it's black, it means it's deactivated. I'll keep that on. If there was something, a reaction is basically an approval or disapproval, whatever. It's basically an emoji. You'll be able to add, so I'll say like, oh, I love this. Amazing, you have a little heart, so cool. That design is literally on fire. It is amazing. It is so cool. I'm super surprised. Yes. Or we do a celebration. There are so many different ones. Anyway, it's very similar to the Mentimeter. So if someone's doing a live presentation, you have that option as well. This icon right here it will show all your collaborators that are logged into the board. So if there were a bunch of people, you'll see a bunch of little icons, but as the board owner, I'm the only person in here right now. And then the next button over is your share feature. This is probably the most important feature on here because it tells you who has access to the board. Actually, let me click it in there. So if you want to add people, whether that's internal or external, this gives you the ability to do so. So you can invite someone via email, just literally typing in their email. You can do like peter@peter.com. I should have probably bought that website, but let's just say that that is a way you're adding an external client or something like that. By default, if you are not creating a private board, it will automatically be shared with the whole YP team. And you can change everyone's access to either no access, so I want to keep it private. I can give everyone edit access, and then I can either send view access. And usually I just press no thank you when I want to notify everyone because I want to limit everyone's notifications. So I'll just leave it as view only for now. And then if I wanted to set or like a public link where I'm inviting a ton of other people, maybe internal or external, these two settings can be different. So maybe only the YP team has edit access, but everyone else can comment. I don't want them modifying anything. And I can also set up a password. So I can say the password for this one is collab. And then that way I can really set a level of security just in case there was some sensitive design information on here to make sure that only the people who were invited have access to it. And then if I wanted to share it internally, obviously you can copy board link and then you'd be able to paste it anywhere if you were just sharing it informally. Okay, settings. So super important because you are able to follow all threads. So one, you won't get notified if you uncheck this or recheck it. Basically, I try and limit this. I don't want to follow anything. Shortcuts, very helpful. I use shortcuts all the time, and if you click on this button, it'll give you a list of all the shortcuts within Miro. Navigation mode, so this is toggling in between using your trackpad to move around, and then you can also go over here to basically click on the little arrow and you can basically drag with your trackpad or your mouse, but then click back on the select button if you need to select stuff. Snap objects, so if you were creating a shape, for example, I'll create a little square and I wanted to move that around. What I can do is it will by default snap to certain audio, and that's that blue line right there, and that allows you to align things really easily, but that is what that snap motion or snap objects option means. Suggesting object sizes, same thing, you're snapping to similar object sizes. So let's say I wanted to do this, go right here, but then I wanted to create a very similar one. What I can do is it will give me, see those two little dimension strings? Those are exactly what it's suggesting the same size. So you can keep things really consistent when you're building shapes or text boxes, whatever you're wanting in Miro. You can turn on your background grid. So I can turn this on, I can do a line or dots. I prefer lines, so I can do done. And then I can set a start view. So again, the icon that you were previously able to do from the board settings, same option here. Collaborators cursors, again, you can do that here or within the actual settings. You can check out apps and integrations, which you probably won't need to go into. I'm managing these more on the global level for the account, but there are a lot of really cool notifications. If you want to try one out, go for it. You can add them to your board. You can add them to the company, I think, profile, and then you can also drag and drop these onto your board, which I'll show you in a later, or your toolbar, which I'll show you in a later video. Okay. And then account settings, again, this is similar to the account settings that I showed you on the previous video. Okay, what is the guide? Again, the guide is super useful for learning new information. I already covered this in the previous one, but they added it here as well. You have your notifications in your feed, so any updates you'll see, again, usually you have it to unread. And then also if I wanted to search within the board, so it gives you all the text examples. That is actually really easy when you're brainstorming to find stuff. So if you're doing a massive tree, you'll be able to search and kind of find where you last left off. And then you can also take notes. So it gives you a couple templates. Sometimes I like to do a meeting agenda or something, and it'll give you, okay, so what are the details? It's like, I don't know, new business. And then action items. So super useful if you like running meetings in Miro, really great. You can also expand it, contract it, and then you can also hide authorship as well. And you can export these too. So if you wanted to copy a link, if you wanted to export as a PDF or as a document itself, you can export that super easily. Pinning means it will keep it pinned to the side and it won't collapse it automatically, but I prefer to keep it closed. Okay, so that's all I'm going to cover for now. Thank you for watching me talk about Miro. All right, guys, have a good day.